What's up guys, I'm DJ Avionics, and if you've come across this video, then you most likely have been having trouble shading your drawings in Procreate as I have. Follow along in this tutorial to learn how to do it the easiest way that I found out how. Alright, so I have Procreate open and I drew a simple cylinder shape that we're going to be shading. Let's say for instance our light source is coming from this direction. Okay, light. And then so that means this edge is going to be darker, or have the shading. Alright, so what we're going to do from here is, as you can see, my layer is named outline. Okay, we're going to create a layer. We're going to rename this color. Always name your layer so you know which layer you're working on. Okay, so from here, we're not going to be coloring in the outline layer. We're going to color in the color layer, but first we're going to hit the outline thumbnail, click that, and then click on reference. So that way, when we work in the color layer, we are referencing the outlines and we are filling in the shapes in that way. So let's choose a blue, I guess. We're going to use like a that kind of blue. Drag it onto your shapes or your surfaces. So looking back now, our color layer has the colors, our outline does not. So if I uncheck color, you see that, and then if I uncheck outline while seeing the color layer, you can see that I've only affected the shapes and referencing the outline layer in the color layer. So from here, go ahead and check mark that. We're going to duplicate the color layer. So slide over and hit the duplicate. So now let's go ahead and rename this to shading. So from here, click away your layers. We're going to click on the adjustments magic wand tab up here. We are going to click on hue, saturation, and brightness. And we are going to adjust our brightness slider all the way to 0, basically, to none. Okay, so now if you click on your layers, you see a shading layer, color layer, and outline layer. So from here, we're going to hit the erase button or erase tool, and we're basically going to be working with soft brush and the airbrushing brush library. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of the top surface. Let's change our tip size and opacity. Just brush away this carefully. You don't want to take away the section on the side surface. So what you can do here is you can get rid of most of it, because we're going to be getting rid of most of it anyways. Let's change our opacity down to 50%. Our brush size about as big as that, and just run it across so you can kind of see where you need to erase your top surface. Alright, let's go ahead and change our brush size again. Let's go ahead and delete all this. Carefully go around the edge. We don't want to get that bottom edge, as I mentioned. Okay, so from undo that. Zoom back out. Undo that. Alright, so back where once again we are using the eraser brush, airbrushing tip, soft brush. We are going to adjust our brush size to about 8% and our opacity to about 50 to 60%, and we're basically going to work our way from right to left, erasing this dark layer that we added. So we're going to just go about halfway here, and a little bit more since I have this. Now, using your pressure sensitive stylus, let's bring down the opacity some to about 30%. We're going to gradually erase our dark layer. And I like to work in circular motions along with maybe a curved line. So kind of just work your stylus lightly and not directly on the dark layer. As you can see, we're getting the effect that we want. Just keep working it. You don't want any sharp lines that you see. Just kind of literally blur the lines with the eraser brush tool that we selected, the soft airbrush. Just kind of work your way from right to left, or whichever way your light source is coming from. It's all about finessing the pressure tip. So that's basically how you do the shading. Now you can kind of still see some sharp lines. Make sure just work it. If you zoom out, you can see that there's any sharp gradient lines that you need to kind of just lightly go over, and I'm pretty much happy with that. So that's how you do the shading. Now I'm going to add in this shading video how to add a highlight edge. So the same thing, you click on your layers. We're going to duplicate the color layer. Okay, duplicate, and this time we're going to name this one highlights. So now we hit the adjustments tool, and instead of bringing the brightness slider all the way down to 0, we're going to bring it to about 70%. Okay, and we are basically going to be doing the same thing, working from left to right because our light source is on the right. Airbrush tool, airbrush erase tool, brush size, opacity, and we're going to, let's go ahead and hit the surface first. Alright, so we got the surface, so we're going to adjust our brush size again. We're going to heavy opacity starting from the opposite end because we want to get rid of the light over the dark. So basically heavy opacity and heavy pressure, and this section isn't going to be as wide of a strip. Okay, so here we're going to adjust our brush size, lower down our opacity, and work this to the edge. Zoom out to see if there's any lines any hard lines that you need to slowly get rid of. And it's kind of very subtle. It's not a very hard light edge there. So there you have it. We've added shading to the cylinder and a highlighted edge that shows in the direction of the light source. So once again, we are working with layers. You have your outline layer, that is your reference, your color layer, duplicated color layer with a dark brightness, and then another duplicated color layer of named highlights with the brightness all the way up. Well, that pretty much wraps up this tutorial video, but if I was able to give you a large helping hand in learning how to shade your drawings in Procreate, a like goes a long way, so I truly appreciate you hitting that like button as hard as you can. Leave any comments or questions down below and I will answer them ASAP, and I'd truly be grateful if you hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell as we learn to draw digitally together. See you guys next time.